Defensively, it's still an elite group, but they're thin at linebacker. That was a curious, quote, insider take that Athlon Sports published about the Georgia Bulldogs linebacker room. I'm not sure. I don't know if that person who is the anonymous quote actually understands the depth chart at Georgia. You're talking about some really good players at linebacker. Justin Williams, Chris Cole, Raylan Wilson, C.J. Allen alone are some really good linebackers that Georgia has got there. Zayden Walker will be coming in there as well soon, but I'm not sure if you could call that thin at linebacker. I wonder if they're talking about pass rushers, but that's not what was said. I think there is some work to be done for Georgia at pass rusher, but I do enjoy these preseason magazines, particularly Athlon. I think they do a really good job. But I'll just say that Justin Williams, C.J. Allen, Raylan Wilson, these are really good linebackers. That's three that play two positions, so there's depth there for sure. I don't know. Sometimes let's not forget you're talking about a league that has 16 teams in it. All these schools don't know everything about the other schools. For instance, Arkansas wouldn't really have. Why would they watch Georgia film? They're not playing them. They're not going to play them. So they could be talking to someone at Arkansas. Look, I've covered the team for 25 years. I've covered this league for 25 years. I've literally never seen a non-photographer person from Athlon at a Georgia game. Now, often there are photographers there for Athlon, but they're people I already know. They're just what's called stringers, people that shoot just for Athlon specifically, who are already at games anyway. So I'm not sure who Athlon's reporters are, but they may have gotten this one wrong. This is a pretty strong linebacker room for Georgia. Now, there's no question that when you start talking about the pass rushers that they lost, yes, that's a different situation. Jalen Walker and Mikael Williams, they lost two very good pass rushers. I don't know if the coach is considering that a linebacker. Obviously Jalen Walker was, but I don't, you lose Chas Chambliss as well. Is that what they're talking about? Are they talking about linebacker? But this is a really good Georgia group at linebacker. I just have to say, it's a good bunch. Justin Williams, Chris Cole, Raylan Wilson, C.J. Allen. That's not a thin group. And I don't know. I found it very curious. And make sure you're getting an actual insider's view of the 2025 Dogs. We've got our 2025 preview coming out soon, probably in about 3.5 weeks. It will be out and about. We've already got a lot of heavy orders here, so I'm only going to print so many. Make sure that I'm only going to print so many. If you're an annual subscriber at Dawg Post, you're already going to get one free at your address. But everybody else, you can buy it with the link down below or the QR code that you're seeing on the screen. We put Gunner on the cover, and we go through a deep dive of everything that's going on at Georgia, including these linebackers. Again, I'm not, listen, Athlon has been something that I've read since I was a child. It's a very good publication. I do think that this quote is curious, but it may be that, that whoever is doing the reporting from them just talk to the wrong coach. Maybe they're talking to a coach at Vanderbilt or Arkansas or Texas A&M that don't really know the situation. They saw, a few guys leave who were very good pass rushers. Again, if you're talking about pass rushers, I think it's a relevant conversation because you did lose Chas, you did lose Mikael Williams, you did lose Walker. So that I do think is problematic for Georgia. The best way to deal. So Georgia does have challenges across the border. Across the line, I should say. There are some spots in the program that really, what is the strength? What should be the strength? The strength should be the offensive line, but there's been because of how poorly the offensive line played a year ago, there's a lot of hesitation there to say, oh yeah, these guys can do it. But when you look at the where we're at in college football right now. I wrote about this. I talked about it the other day, and I wrote about it today over on Dawg Post. We don't really know who the best team is. I think the best team is probably Texas, but I think Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, probably Oregon or Penn State, but let's just say those 5 schools. The winner of the national championship is probably going to come from that group. I'm a bit more skeptical about Penn State and Oregon, a bit more, but not crazily more skeptical. All of these schools have their own challenges. I mean, Penn State lost their defensive coordinator. Excuse me, Penn State's returning a lot. Texas losing a starting quarterback. Same thing with Ohio State. Same thing with Georgia. Same thing with Oregon. Penn State is returning their starting quarterback. Drew Aller is pretty average, I would say. There's been a lot of coordinator shuffle. Ohio State has lost a lot of players. They have, definitely going to have some change at the coordinator spots because of some things that have happened. So, that's just what it is. Penn State and Clemson, a defensive coordinator goes down there. Clemson thinks they're getting a shot in the arm from that. So everybody's kind of moving around. Georgia's got the same offensive and defensive coordinator. They don't have the same quarterback. They're going to have to replace really good, 3 really good defensive players at 3 levels of the defense with Malachi Starks, Mikael Williams on the defensive line, Walker at linebacker / pass rusher, and then Malachi Starks in the secondary. But Georgia specifically has done a very good job of addressing the problems that they had in the portal, and not necessarily just in the December portal, but in the spring portal as well. By the way, I think that I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, but Ross Dellinger did a great job of talking about the future here as far as Southeastern Conference, the Big 10, the Big 12, and the ACC, and everybody trying to get their ducks in a row. We're headed towards more sanity in college football. We're not quite there yet. So I think the wildness of these last, I would say particularly 2 years, maybe the last 5, is going to slow down in terms of the portal, the NIL. All that stuff is going to really come into fruition. The way that the college football playoff, everything is getting organized. Everybody's not going to like it. When I mean everybody, I mean Wake Forest. But the things are going to get settled down. And I think that coming into 25, this is going to be one of the final seasons where, you could have some really weird things happen, off the field that can affect on the field in terms of the portal, NIL. But Georgia did a good job with that. Now, most of these schools that I'm mentioning, they did do a good job of that. But I just know that there's nobody right now that has got a lock on this team should win the national championship. And it's becoming, to me, increasingly more difficult to win the national championship because now, instead of winning 2 games in a row, you got to win 3. I mean, everybody's got to win 3. Some people got to win 4 games in a row to win a national championship. That's asking a lot. So, particularly at the level, we're not talking about playing, Mississippi State and then, Mississippi State, then Texas, and then Florida. No, it's Texas, Ohio State, Penn State. I mean, that's a challenging run. So, it's going to become more difficult to win it just because of the setup, but it's going to become more difficult for everybody. So, the question becomes, can Georgia get where they need to go with everyone they've got? I think their linebackers are a strength, to be honest with you. I think it's one of the strengths of their team. If you don't think Gunner's a strength, then and I think you have the ability to. I mean, that's not a nutty take. But when you look at what they did at running back in the portal, I mean, they solved a riddle there. On the offensive line, they've got to get that right. But, to me, the question mark for this team is the defensive line. Are they going to really be where they got to go on the defensive line? They addressed the wide receivers. That should certainly be better. Was it one of the challenges for Gunner and Carson last season, the receiver play? Yes. So I think the offensive line should play better, but we're going to see. And, way too many injuries for Georgia this past season. But as it relates to an insider, so-called insider. I'm sure they're not lying about who they're talking to, but it's a bizarre take to say they're thin at linebacker. I mean, I'm not sure I can go there right now. I mean, they've got four really good linebackers at Georgia, and I just don't, I'm not there yet with that comment. Tell me what you think down below. We'll see you on the next video.